Hey everyone, Rick here, and folks, 2020 is the 20th anniversary of this Mage Knight Rebellion. I have 4 booster packs here. Mage Knight Rebellion was the very first set released for the Mage Knight collectible miniature skirmish battle game. Pre-painted figures, and we're going to open 4 booster packs. There were 4 different art varieties of booster packs, and we have 4 sealed packs here that we are going to tear open and see what we've got. Now, folks, let's just take a peek at the packaging starting off. So this is, as it says, Mage Knight Rebellion. 5 figures in each of these packs. And as it says right here on the back of this booster, that every figure has a dial which contains all the information necessary to play with the figure, and 160 different characters in this initial set. I can't wait to see what we've got. 20 years, folks. I'm pretty sure that it even says somewhere on here that, yes, let's zoom in a bit. Year 2000. I was 11 years old when an 11-year-old spots something like this. Oh my gosh. Pre-painted figures that I could battle like army men across the living room floor. Yeah, I got super excited. And I never looked back. This was the tabletop game that got me into the hobby. So let's see. Every pack, and I mean these are 20-year-old stickers. Every pack would contain a slip of these 5 labels that would go to on the bottom of the base. There's no adhesion to these anymore. And then you could put your initials on there. That way you could tell the difference between your characters and your friends if you were fielding the same figures. Every figure was also packaged in these little plastic holders, just so you know that they would be protected from bouncing around against each other. All right, so figure number 1, which I actually really appreciated these guys. This was the UTEM Guardsman. 11 points to field this guy in your army. He was part of the Atlanteans, and he was number 4. He's only a weak 1 star. The rarity in this went from 1 to 3 stars or no stars. No stars were unique. 1 star was weak. 2 stars were standard. 3 stars were tough. And the weak, standard, and tough versions would be decorated with yellow, blue, or red on their figure respectively. So you can see this guy who has a pretty nice sculpt right now. Of course, this was the year 2000. Pre-paint quality on this guy is, you know, the lower part of tabletop standard at best. Just really picked out some of the main features of him, but no highlights or anything like that. But he has flesh tone face. You can see that bronze kind of colored armor, some gray for his weapon and shield, and brown for his uniform. And then, of course, we're going a little hard on this guy's features and dial specifically, just because he is the first one to give any of you guys who have never seen these before or limited access to them in the past kind of an idea of what we're looking at here. But on the dial itself, the boot is how many inches of speed they have to move. The attack is what you'll add that value to the roll of 2d6. And the defense is what you are trying to exceed with your roll and attack in order to do damage. And then, of course, this little explosion icon over here, that's how many clicks of damage you would do to your opponent in the event of a successful hit. And then every time you take a wound, you click that dial, and you can see his stats start to diminish until he is, unfortunately, dead. And then The 3 skull icon means you will remove him from the battlefield. So that is a very weak standard. I shouldn't say standard because there is actually a 2-star standard of these figures, but he's a very common, in other words, figure to get. That is 1 of 5 in this first 20-year-old booster pack. Oh man, I actually like these guys. Now, as you can see, he has some red on him, and that's a 3-star ranger. He costs 20 points to include in your army, and that faction symbol means he is part of the Elemental League. And there are his stats. You'll notice that some of these stats have different colors on their number, and there's an entire ability, special ability chart. So in addition to their base values, they also have special abilities. The green square specifically, because I'm not going to go through all the abilities, but the green square is how you know where to start the guy on the dial. So that is his starting stats. Also, one other thing I didn't explain was that arrow icon over there means how many inches of range he has. This guy has 8. You'll remember our little Atlantean friend here did not have any range. So those are our first 2. Next up, we have another one of my favorites from the Rebellion series, and that is the Night Stalker, and he is part of the Necropolis sect. You can see he's pretty mean looking, right? I mean, he has an 11 attack value, 3 clicks of damage he'll do if he manages to hit you, and just overall a fantastically posed guy. And you know, a lot of people sometimes, if they're not interested in playing Mage Knight, they'll pry them off the bases and rebase them for example, Dungeons and Dragons, or maybe Frostgrave, other miniature skirmish games. And a lot of people will give them repaints too, because again, it's just a very tabletop quality, basic paint job there. But you know, when you're out on the field of battle, they don't look too terrible. You can tell who's who, and that's the main thing. All right, figure number 4 of 5, we have a big old troll, and this specific guy is called a troll artillerist, and he is also part of the Elemental League, known for some of their big brutish troll guys. I mean, look at that crossbow. We have the longest range we've had so far, 12 inches of range, and 11 attack, 3 damage. But as you can see, they're pretty slow, only a 6 speed. But man, fantastic. He has that blue coloring on him, as did our Night Stalker, which means that they are, that's right, 2 stars. They are standard, right in the middle there between weak and tough. All right, the last figure in this pack, way down here at the very bottom, in this pinkish colored plastic. And I don't know, maybe someone can say what the different colored plastic means. Sometimes I've heard, you know, that could mean different things, but anyway, maybe rarity or something. Then we have the Mage Knight. Because even in the weak, standard, and tough strength scheme, actually, that is not completely accurate in terms of their rarity. Some are rarer than others, even within that scheme. But we have a Mage Knight from the Knights Immortal, that knight-looking chess piece there. And he is also standard 2 stars. Fantastic defense, 17 defense. That yellow square means he has the defendability, so figures in base contact with him can share that defensive value. So that is pretty fantastic. Plus, he just looks cool. I've always had a favoritism for the Knights Immortal. I just like my Elvish Knights. All right, so folks, that was the first 5 figures that we received in booster pack number 1. Not too bad. I'm actually really pleased with these. That's great. Of course, after, you know, collecting for, and it has been almost, I think I discovered Mage Knight back in early 2001, maybe late 2000. So it has been almost 20 years for me as well. So I have all of these figures already in my collection, but, you know, when you're fielding armies, it's nice to have multiples of some of them. All right, and then the first figure of pack number 2 is a Nightblade, again from the Necropolis sect. 3 stars, and that red detailing means she is tough. And yeah, that is a very, interestingly clothed, interestingly attired figure out there on the battlefield. All right, figure number 2, we're going to try to go through these a little bit faster this time. We have another Necropolis sect figure, and that is the Grave Robber. 3 stars, red, he is tough. But you may be saying, what are you talking about? Look at that attack of a 6, damage of a 1. This is the guy, his ability, that black half square there on his damage value is necromancy. So that's right, he can bring figures back from the dead. So that is basically his entire purpose. Figure number 3, oh, we have another Atlantean. Amotep, I want to pronounce it as, Gunner. So this guy is another Atlantean, range 10. Kind of cool looking figure there with his very, I don't know if I want to call it steampunkish, but very, interesting looking weapon there. All right, figure number 4, another Atlantean. And this guy is a golem. Oh, that's right. 2-star standard blade golem. And this guy's pretty mean. Look at that. 4 clicks of damage he'll do to you. 11 attack. And look at that buzzsaw. Look at that gigantic blade. And, in comparison to the height of his other Atlantean friends, he is a force to be reckoned with on the field of battle. All right, the very last figure, figure 5. Oh my gosh, I think this was the lowest cost figure in all of Rebellion. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. There may have been a limited edition figure, something that cost less. But just out of a booster pack, this little imp, 1 star, weak, only 5 points to add him to your army. As you can tell, he doesn't have the best stats, but it's fantastic fodder. Throw him out there, especially with his flight special ability in the way of some of the enemy's artillery or, ranged attacks until your troops get into position. Fantastic little guy. Or could tie someone down in base contact, into whatever kind of tactics you want to use, but he's kind of neat there sitting on a little stump. All right, so that was that booster pack. Now we are moving on to pack number 3 of 4. So far not bad. More of those stickers. First figure here is, another Grave Robber. So you can see he is blue, 2 stars, so he is just the standard version of the Grave Robber. Here we go, our first Black Powder Rebel figure, and this is, I don't know, I don't want to slaughter that name. 20 years later, I still can't pronounce these. Kamzin Fuser. And so 16 points, 3 stars, and tough. I mean, that's not bad. 16 points, you got a 10 range, 9 attack, 2 damage. You get get these guys out there shooting up formations. Yep, that's fantastic. Love these guys. But you can tell they don't take much to get them pretty far down. Couple clicks of damage and they're, looking at a 6 attack. So, yeah, that is that guy. And he is our very first Black Powder Rebel faction representative. All right. Number 2 out of this pack is another Necropolis sect. This is a Screeching Terror, 32 points. How much was that golem? I was going to say, who was the most so far? The Blade Golem was 33 points. So this guy's right up there. I mean, he has a lot of special abilities. We won't go over all those, but those can definitely be pretty dangerous. Plus, he just looks really cool, right? I mean, this is one of those guys you could clip off the base and stick on, just a generic little base probably and have him screeching terror, as it were, around the dungeon. All right, next up we have, I think this is only our second Elemental League figure. This is a standard 2-star wood golem. Looks pretty cool. Stomping around the grounds there. Pretty good attack and toughness, defense, and 3 damage. And then, last but not least, we have our first Orc Raiders figure. Look at that, 4-inch range. But, I mean, 14 points. He is weak. He's a slasher. Has that yellow detailing on him, so you can tell he is a weak. But that sword icon, it means he is an Orc Raider. And these figures just look really cool, right? I mean, he is a big guy. And that paint on him is not too bad. You can even pick out his fangs there. So, yeah, that looks pretty good. His wide arms, though, well, I guess in this was a bad example. I guess the shield arm, though, was tough to, you know, get other figures into base contact with them with that huge, I mean, look how far it sticks out from the base. But other than that, that is a pretty cool figure. All right, so that was actually all of that third booster pack. So we are now down to the final pack. 20 years these have been sealed up, finally seeing the light of day. I have a YouTube video where I show off my sealed Mage Knight product. I just have hundreds and hundreds of sealed booster packs. Love to still do booster drafts with my friends, crack open packs every once in a while, so believe me, as much as I love hoarding things, these guys will eventually probably all see the light of day at some point. Alright, we have one a little tangled up here, but now he's free, and you may recognize him. He is... oh, that's right, a Night Stalker. 1-star weak, Necropolis Sect Night Stalker. And these guys just look cool. Plus, they have some pretty nice abilities. And there you see him with his standard brother there. Alright, that was figure number 1. Here's figure number 2. Now we have a weak Cam's Infuser, 13 points, Black Powder Rebels. His bayonet is a little bit bent, but overall, I mean, the figures themselves look pretty nice. Alright, figure number 3 is another Amatep Gunner. Very nice. Atlantean, 1-star weak, so he is, you know, next to his blue star friend, or a 2-star blue friend. Alright, next up we have, oh, another Blade Golem. Very nice. He's also a standard. So these guys, I mean, the Atlanteans are looking pretty good here. Alright, and the very last figure for this unboxing is pretty cool looking for sure. It is a Shade. 16.2-star standard Shade. Look at that speed. 12-inch movement. That red square means he has quickness, so it doesn't take one of your activations on a turn to utilize his movement. He is gliding all over the battlefield. All right, folks, let's take a look at the 20, right? There should be 20 of these guys. 4 booster packs of 5 figures. And yep, there they all are. So this is our 20-figure haul. Now, I will say, we did not pull a single unique figure out of all of this. But out of what we did pull, some pretty cool stuff. I love my Liege Knight. Actually, I love my Ranger. I love my Troll Artillerist. I love these Night Stalkers. And these Blade Golems are very cool. So that is it, folks. Can you believe it? 20 years of Mage Knight. Oh my gosh, I actually am setting up a little table here. We have some of those pre-assembled Mage Knight armies that came in boxes. That I was going to introduce some friends to how to play Mage Knight. The wall of Mage Knight is kind of tucked away at this point, but 20 years, cannot believe it. Absolutely love it still to this day, folks. Thank you all so much for watching. I do truly appreciate it, and until next time.